Hello, hello, and hello. Welcome to the Beth of Fresh Air. It's March 20. I've had a week off, and it was kind of a crazy week, to say the least. Hello, Jackie K. Nice to see you. Nice to be back in my world, actually. It's been kind of insane trip. So I am going to be sharing some details about that, many of them related to scents and fragrance and the assault. I'm using very dramatic words today. And Ronnie Dumont is in the house. I'm glad that I'm back as well with my family in an unscented environment for the most part. And Miss Maya is also here. All the friends. Oh, so great. And I actually have a special surprise today. I'm going to be having one of my Journey Code graduates on for a talk about scents because she has a particular passion in this area. So I'm really glad that Mara, you're in the back room there. Welcome. I am going to just introduce the stream a little bit more, talk a tiny bit, and then I'll bring you on. So yeah, glad to be here. Glad to have you here. Let's see. This might be a little bit all over the place, but maybe since Mara's here sooner, we'll just dive right into scents. I am going to tell some stories because that's my therapy. Coming back from a trip where there's lots of weird things. We do love the U.S., of course. That's something that is always so obvious the moment that you cross the border. And they don't want us to travel. It's so obvious to me. There's so many ways that it's just hellish in a lot of ways. And praying works also. So I did that in advance. And hello and welcome to Gabriel. Oh, Gabby, nice to have you here. And thank you, Michelle, for that reminder to like, share, and sub, since we're a little shadow band around here, to say the least. So yeah, wow. It's just like where to start. I was actually talking to a good friend who might be here, and it could even come on, by the way. You know who you are. So just text me if you'd like a link, and you can come into this chat because I know you've had some experience in this arena as well. And I'll just say I'm glad to be back in the House of Free Will among friends again. And the main thing that's going on these days is some talks about Gurdjieff's work. So if you're not familiar with Gurdjieff, I wasn't, I'd heard his name, but I'd never dove in. I probably would never have dove into his work, but I have the great pleasure of hosting Micah Ellers, who is a filmmaker and an expert, also coaches in that arena of Gurdjieff's work. It's deep, and in doing my work, he saw a lot of parallels. So it's been fun to go through that and go much deeper. So yeah, going through duty free was always horrendous. You don't miss it. Yeah, I don't have anything drawing me in there, and that was actually part of a big theme of the whole thing. There we were in Florida, very close to Mickey Mouse and Universal Studios and SeaWorld and Busch Gardens, which was my maybe on the list. But I don't know, everything these days is just so intensely engineered. When I thought about the Busch Gardens, that they were going to be, beautiful flowers. I'm sure like there are gardens there, of course, but when you go to the website, the first thing it tells you is that it's an amusement park. It's like, no, I don't want to be part of that at all. We can amuse ourselves just fine. And if you need too much of that, then it's a kind of sign too. Michelle said, just going to new environments can cause assault and battery on your senses. Yeah, just the newness that the culture shock is real. I always experience worse culture shock coming back to my environment, which is actually one of the things that people don't realize. When I went to India, it would be, yeah, of course, some kind of shock and adjustment to be there in a completely strange and new world, but it was always worse to come home, partly because of where we live. But down south, they get very yellow pollen all over the place, so thick you draw pictures in it like dirt. Interesting. Yeah. I think the main thing that we were hit with almost immediately, in addition to the story I'm going to share with you, is the incredible humidity. Like literally put a piece of clothing outside and it was wet in about, I don't know, 20 minutes literally soaking wet and did not dry throughout the entire trip because of that. So yeah, but okay, it's crazy. So I'm going to bring Mara Hagel on, and just give me a thumbs up when you feel ready to join me. She's giving me the thumbs up. Excellent. Welcome, Mara. So great to have you here.
Hi, Beth. Nice to see you.
Yeah, really nice. And so you have a special passion for educating people about scents, which is why you came. I don't know if you're able to turn it looks like you're on your phone. Are you able to turn it sideways so we can get a bigger picture of you? There it is.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And feel free to introduce yourself, anything that you'd like to say about yourself as well.
Okay. This is a very big moment for me being on the show with you, Beth. Very pleased to be here. I was homeschooled. I'm a mother of 4. I live in the country, and I was getting into scents. I was sick for 20 years. I became obsessed with beauty products as a young woman, right around puberty. And I could not get enough of all the smells for, well, I guess probably 15 years. And imagine my delight. And also, it was a bit horrific to realize that it was self-inflicted, all those years of suffering. And so here I am. I really thought my journey with educating on fragrance was over, or I'd hoped. I didn't want to kick this cow anymore, but I've been reminded every time I go out in public that we're just scratching the surface, and the education needs to continue. It's so big, and so many people are completely unaware, and yeah, it's special, very special.
Indeed, I think that's one of the crazy things about this, that it's largely in our control, right? There's so many things in our world that are not in our control. We can't do anything about chemtrails. We can't do anything about scalar waves, or maybe there is something to be done, but when it comes to the world of scents, this is something like you have to go and like pay for that and actively put it on your body and put it in your clothes for the laundry. And so we have a lot of choice in this arena. And so I admire your willingness to come on today and make a brave move. I recognize that it's not necessarily an easy thing to come and be in front of people all the time. So congratulations, Mara.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah. So good. And hello to Mr. Cyrus. It's funny, I'm kind of forgetting your name right now. I think I know you as Cyrus. There you go. And so we are live, and we have a lively chat. We'll be interrupting several times to check in with the comments. Jackie K says she's not renewing her passport and don't miss the pat downs. Yeah, my son actually finally said, "Mom, why don't you go through the scanner?" I said, "Well, because it's X-rays and you don't need that radiation in your body." And he's like, "Okay, I'm going to do the pat down." And then, of course, what do they do when you get to the gate? When he had decided, oh, it's going to take a long time and you have to wait and you're going to be standing there. They always make it seem like it's not going to be good for you in the process. And I have had some nasty pat downers that, for one reason or another needed to bang your genitals with their hands, stuff like just weird, really weird things. I know, strange. This trip, it didn't happen. So that was very good. So I'm just complaining about another trip. Welcome to Eliza. So great to have you here. And Michelle says that she's loving Mara's artwork hanging on her wall. And Quietly Content Bear is in the house. Nice to have you. Welcome.
Beth,
Yes, please.
do you think that the part of the reason why it was better this time was your mindset going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of praying for sure. I always do. You're praying and releasing, of course, the deprogramming work. And so it has something to do with it.
Yeah.
But if you approach that work like that means I'm not going to have any bad experiences. That's not what it's about, right? That's more law of attraction and just, oh, I'm just going to attract all the good people. And there were many good people along the way, many. I'm super grateful to customs border agent coming back into Canada, where Canada was a very bad place to land in. All of a sudden, everybody goes dark. The same airline, but they're all of a sudden not happy people yelling at us, arguing, trying to extort us for extra money twice in a row. And and then this border agent, we had a little fight. We don't like to do the cameras because the cameras flash lights in your eyes. So I always claim a personal health reason. So because he was so frustrated with us, he just like, okay, just go in the line like this. And then when we got there, the agent was so happy to see us because he's going to lose his job to all that automation. And he was kind, and he was, did all our math for us right in front of us and sent us on our way. Even though our passports are marked from the past, he didn't detain or delay us. So, there's good people everywhere. But back to that point about using deprogramming work to just get what you want and go smoothly through, freedom's not like that. So you don't always know what experiences are going to accelerate your path towards freedom. And so I no longer feel hooked to that. Do you want to say anything more about it?
No, I I appreciate that. I see that there could be such deception in that world as far as creating what we are choosing, what our experience is. So I'm grateful for you to bring me back down to the ground.
Right. And actually studying Gurdjieff's work recently has reminded me that the spiritual New Age community will say, you create your reality. So whatever is happening in your reality is because it's something inside you that is attracting that. That's only half true. Yes, we are co-creators. Yes, we are putting out certain vibes consciously and unconsciously. They match, they resonate, they attract. That's all true. But we have the whole force of the absolute in right that is far beyond any of our will to create. And this is just from Gurdjieff's work on studying the 48 laws and how it's archangels are actually feeding off us, looshing off us, so to speak, like the angels feed off and loosh with animals. If I'm even saying that correctly, I'm still learning the lingo around there. So there are things that are out of our hands. And this is actually one of the points I wanted to make today about how we get into the project, the internal project of controlling our environments. If we go right into sense from here. And I've learned to do that to a great extent. So, in my home, there's no chemical cleaners and there's no natural fragrances almost at all anymore. And I go out of my way to buy body products that are not full of scents. And when I do my laundry, it's with more like baking soda, vinegar, and unscented natural soaps. And so as long as I control my environment, I'm okay. But this is going to bring us into some talk about LYL, the Love Your Liver, which I know you've been also involved in. And it used to be where someone would give me a hug, and I still have a coat from, I swear it's a decade ago. It still smells like the scent that person was wearing. I had to stop wearing it because every time I wore it, I would feel sick. Or every time I would get into a hotel room with the sheets full saturated with scented laundry products, that I would feel sick all night and I couldn't sleep. And I would, I would take a hit and I would feel damaged by that. What I noticed was different this time is that it took 6 days for me to of constant exposure to those chemical scents to start feeling it. So that is a very big amount of progress in my health. And what it shows me is that your body's health matters a lot in your in your interaction and how you're going to respond to those chemicals, whether they're chemical or natural. Did you want to say something?
No, sorry, I lost it. Keep going, Beth.
That's
There's
okay.
so many things that come through. Yeah.
I know my head is so full. This might not be that organized, but hello, JJ Hemp Creep Bear. Nice to see you guys. See you here, I should say.
So your toxic load has gone way down, and so you have more capacity to deal with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there was a moment in the very first flight we took out of Winnipeg, and the vents were on very strong, so the air was literally pouring down. Even if you turn your vents off, it was still pouring down out of the side, and it was literally saturated with scent. Whether that was from, by on purpose, that they're putting scents in there in the venting system, because that exists now. They do that. And it was literally pouring on my head the whole time. I was very aware of it. I didn't like it, but I didn't feel sick. There was no,
Okay.
yeah, I wasn't barfy. I wasn't headachy. My eyes didn't water. It was actually the first time I traveled without getting what I call eye stingers at every turn. And so I was able to take it. Now, what was so interesting, because I've always been the one in my life who is like the scent police. And I'm assuming you carry a similar role in your life.
I can remember clearly the day when I was being policed. I'll never forget my friend's mom who had to very clearly state that the smells I was coming with were banned from her house. But now I am the scent police. Yes.
There you go. Yeah. So then we were going to stay with a friend, and they actually warned me. They said, you know what, I'm very scent sensitive, so please don't, wear perfumes and all that kind of stuff. So that was cool. I thought actually that was so good, because it meant we were going into a scent-free environment. Well, at every step of the way along the trip, we got bombed one way or another. It was somebody's product they like put lotion on your hands, and all of a sudden there was a scent bomb here, and just at every turn there was another scented environment of some kind. Well, by the time we get there, we're scented, right? And the funny part was that when we opened the trunk to my friend's car, it bombed us with another scent. And it was like, okay, that's weird, because we kind of didn't expect that. But, okay, whatever, you're not going to police my friend. And it turned out that when we got to their house, they couldn't tolerate it. Our secondhand scent. We weren't wearing any primary scents, but just from having been around it. And so we ended up having to bail in the middle of the night, Ubered out of there. It was like a major trigger for my friend, and we couldn't stay there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of insane, because it just happened to be there's a big reggae festival in the area, and we couldn't find a hotel. We ended up at a really crappy hotel with the drunks hanging off the railings, and we're trying to book with a woman behind a glass, and we got the drunks kind of coming into us, and it was just like total madness. We ended up the next day we got ourselves a car, totally scented car. Every time you turn the air on, it blows scent at you. So somehow, either it's past people who've been in there, or what they cleaned with, or they literally stick stuff in the ventilation system to bring you these scents. So it was just utterly ubiquitous.
Yeah. The compounds that they use for example, like the Downy freshener, it makes the scents last longer. But I was reminding myself today that they activate again with warmth. So when it touches your body, you could think it's gone and you won't smell it, but then it touches a heater or it touches your body and then it activates again and releases more. It's really slimy. It's really gross what they use in those products everywhere. And whew, yeah, it's madness that you had to leave your friends. It's so crazy, but so many people would think that it's madness that you would leave your friends or that she would make you leave. But actually, we're not the mad ones.
Right, exactly. Now, one of the points I wanted to make, just in case I forget, is that given my evolution through this, where I used to be taken out, I always joked that they could take me out with a dryer sheet, right? That shouldn't tell everybody that, but and then watching the evolution of being less and less sensitive. Again, not believing that it's good, not thinking that there's no harm from it because I don't feel bad, but it is a sign of your liver health. And this is something that can be, you can take it as a measure and be more realistic. Many people in the health community, especially the so-called natural health community, we have this huge ego about how healthy we are. Why? Because we've done protocols and we've done remedies and we have, studied the knowledge that's not really knowledge at all. And then there's this massive denial sets in, where instead of really doing the deep work to heal the liver, then you move into just controlling your environments and controlling everybody around you. And that is a very kind of sad place to be in.
To be totally straightforward, that's kind of where I'm at. Actually, my toxic load is still really high, and I'm following along with Love Your Liver has been very beneficial, and I've seen a lot of help. But I'm becoming very close to taking it a step further and implementing it. I have a question about. So you say you can handle the toxic, like you can handle the scents more than you were before, now that your liver is stronger and healthier. And so something that I noticed when I started cutting toxic fragrances and toxic everything, was that I actually became more sensitive. What do you know about that? So it's like I'm just on this raw stage. I'm not really super healthy, but I'm way more sensitive to it once I started. And I hear that quite a bit from people. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the greater sensitivity is a sign that it's sort of a teeter-totter that the liver's on, that it's releasing toxins, but not fast enough. Because when the insult of the scent comes along and makes you dump bile into your systems, which is why you feel sick, it's because it's on that edge that it can't take one more insult. So yeah.
My son was coming home from Mexico with my sister, and their taxi to the airport was just fragrant, just awful, like the worst of the worst. And he was so sick, he puked right as they pulled up to the airport. He couldn't handle it anymore, and he puked. And they charged him, my sister had to pay $80 American for that, because his car made my son sick. And then, talk about crazy.
Well, you should turn around and charge them for their toxic assault. Yeah. No, there's not literally. I've never got into a cab with a air freshener. I make them throw it out the window, or I offer to buy it from them and then throw it out the window, just to be kinder.
That's very nice of you. I usually start just lecturing them really passionately about how bad it is and telling them all the things that are happening to them and what they're doing to people. I do it in a very nice way, but I'm very blunt. And
right.
Often they actually have no idea. They think I'm crazy, and sometimes they are interested, but always they had no idea.
Right, exactly. Because it's so incredibly prevalent. It's become a normal thing in our world. And department stores used to randomly spray customers with perfume. I don't think they do that anymore. I know. When you see them coming, that was an interesting thing too in the US. I don't know if it was just where we were, but every time we went into any kind of a mall, it was probably, 10x the fragrance stores that are here in Canada. I don't know if they maybe don't see the value in coming here, not enough revenue could come out of it or something like that. But there was, because I know how to hold my breath when we're walking by one, but I couldn't hold my breath long enough because there would be like, 3 in a row, or, you just get to the other end of your breath and there's another bomb waiting for you. So it's just, yeah, really, really intense. I went looking last night for some history, because my conspiracy mind right away goes to, okay, we've got these poisons ubiquitous in our environment. Everyone is using it. They don't question it at all. There's, for every brand of laundry detergent, they will have one unscented if you're lucky. So it's showing that it's not widely, there's not a big demand for that. Although unscented is just unscented. I don't know how many variations on that you could make. And even though ChatGPT will sometimes follow me along my conspiracy paths, it wouldn't go for it. It says no. There's nothing conspiratorial. And just, historically, the use of scents was, and I'm curious to hear what your findings are around this. I didn't go any deeper than what I learned last night, but that it basically went from, say, things that would happen in ritual, religious kind of contexts with incense and resins, frankincense and myrrh, for example, medicinal herbs and poultices, that inevitably all plants have some kind of fragrance to them, more or less. It could be about signaling status, because only wealthy people had access, could afford to buy perfumes. And but the big shift that happened was where clean became synonymous with deodorized, right? So in the 18th and 19th century, when there was, disease was rampant and people didn't really even understand basic hygiene and being antiseptic. I know a lot of women ended up dying in childbirth just for that reason, that they didn't know how to wash their hands. And then so scent became even a way to, it's saying that it added the element of morality in it, that it was immoral to be dirty, which is interesting. And that, there's a sort of truth in that. If you're spreading
Mm-hmm.
junk and toxins, and then, yeah, clean was no longer the absence of dirt. The clean was a pleasant smell, which they just put on top of the bad smells.
Yeah, exactly. I, I just sort of wrote it off as just part of their evil plan to disconnect us from our bodies. And it was just really gross. But fragrant perfume before the 1900s was made with essential oils and plants. And actually, it's quite sad. I actually just came across, or someone was saying, oh, I should have my lampe Berger. There's a company that created these fiery lamps that burn an oil that were disinfectant. And so they created them for hospitals to disinfect, like you say. And sure enough, I went and looked at the ingredient list, and very, very, very little of them have essential oils. Most of them are just synthetic with alcohol. And so I was so disappointed. This woman was saying how good it is and how it's going to help so much. And I admit I did the same with essential oils. My body feels the difference. There's a big difference, but now I recognize that ultimately it's still responding as a poison to my body. But as far as aromatherapy and using scents, that does go back thousands of years, but it was never used. It was never pushed on us. It was never this money-making thing. It was a healing thing, to use your olfactory system to recover, to heal from trauma. But it wasn't a money-making industry, which I know got very, very, very toxic in the 1900s. Same with our medical system. It is all along that same timeline. As far as what happened before that, I don't know a lot, but I am, you see it in the movies and in all those old books. So often they talk about, the lover talks about the way that the woman smelt. And so I think, it is the strongest, they say the strongest sense that we have, because it goes straight to the brain. And so I believe that was just used against us. to hurt us. But that's just my own thought. I mean, I can't deny it. Not when a company spends $100 million per year to advertise Febreze, $100 million per year to advertise Tide, $100 million a year to advertise the Downy, the beads. And yeah, that's pure evil. They know what it's doing. They do not have to tell us what it's doing. They don't even have to tell us what's in it. And they use hypnotic music with repetitive, they use sound and hypnosis and mind control in their advertising to get people to buy it. So it's so evil.
Yeah, they're heavily invested in having us consume these. One of the things that it brings, a few different things actually, but we tend to be addicted to our poisons. And there's many poisons, if you use the example of cocaine, that it seems to be a pleasure. That's why people will spend the money and put it up their nose. But the ultimate result is not pleasure, the long-term result compared to the short-term result. And most poisons are stimulants. So I'm wondering about that, that even on the level of the essential oils, if there was a certain addiction to that. And I'm going to get into why the chemical scents are different from the natural scents. They are very different. But as you already said, there's a whole level that, if you're looking to take pressure off your liver, then they're a good one to leave behind. It was in the late 1800s where chemistry basically came along and changed everything. Now, even AI is going, oh, natural good, chemical bad. We know that that's not quite it's interesting how it picks up on that narrative. And basically, so natural scents are limited, right? There's only so much juice you can squeeze out of a lavender plant, only so much oil when you reduce it down to its oil. And then so they couldn't mass produce on that level, although they have mass produced essential oils anyway in our current day. So that didn't hold them back very long. And basically it was the use of synthetic aldehydes, which now we know are present. There are natural aldehydes in the essential oils as well. So I'll have to teach AI more about that. And so it became scalable, it became kind of programmable. And then it was in the mid 20th century where they really, through advertising, convinced people that their homes needed to have a smell. And there are homes I literally can't go in. When Liam was small and he would have a play date and I would go to drop him off and you walk in and it kaboom, scented candles. There's, whatever it is, hits me like a brick over my head, and we can't stay there for even 5 minutes to enjoy a play date. Pretty sad.
Yeah, I have 4 kids, and so there's friends that come over, and any of my close friends, I have told them, I have asked them, I've shared the information. Some of them continue to do it, and I've told them more than one time, as awkward as it is, but I love them, and I have not yet banned these children from my house in their clothes, but it took me a while to realize that my irritation and my headache, that I was becoming really short and snappy, and I was just really irritated with this play date. Like, why is this kid so annoying to me? But when I finally realized that it was like, I knew that the scent was bothering me, but I was sort of mind over matter. It's fine. They're just having a play. But then my irritability, like my snap, it was just how much it affected me actually was so much more than I realized. And yeah, what's that doing to the kids? They don't even smell it. It's
exactly
horrible.
Yeah, that's and that's where you start to where I start to get conspiratorial about it. Like, do they want everybody to be irritable? And to have them a little bit on edge, and this is the next shift in the late 20th century, that it actually became a way of psychologically targeting people and controlling their behavior. So I'm not surprised. I didn't realize this, but hotels have signature scents. So
Yeah.
that when you go there, you make a psychological association with that scent that you think you like. Most people think they like it, which is a strange one. It means they're not sick enough yet to really suffer it. But yeah, and they can show in research that it increases the amount of time that people are going to stay in a store. It decreases my amount of time that I'm going to stay in a store, but for the most part, it influences your mood. It influences your purchases. It creates a brand identity that is incredibly related. Like this, the sense of smell is the closest to the memory of all of the senses. So that's something that, and I can recognize all the scent being out in the world. I'm like, oh, that I don't have names for them or product names or chemical names or anything, but they are signature. There's different ones that, and there's some that I think to myself, oh, I might be able to like that. Not that I like that, but it's actually appealing to me in some way. Not that I go for it, just that I can feel the appeal,
Yeah.
even though it makes me
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Apparently, casinos are busy pumping both oxygen and scents into their environment, and then all retail environments are using it as well. I was just noticing Michelle's comment here about apple pie. To sell houses, they have an apple pie smell, or they have a bread smell.
Yeah.
There,
Creepy.
yeah. My son was trying to get me to buy a new car smell. They've manufactured a scent that smells like a new car, so that when you go to sell your car, somebody believes it's newer than it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Talk about manipulation. Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And this is interesting. I want to address that the smell of blooming lilacs is intoxicating. So I'm not calling you out or anything, Michelle, but look at the choice of the word that she used. Intoxicating, making you toxic, right? That's the even I mean, I'm not going to stop Michelle or anybody from smelling the flowers, but if you I think if you sat there and smelled them all day long, you would cause harm to yourself. And the intoxication means that you are losing your faculties, you're losing your awareness because your body's like tied up trying to mitigate the damage.
Yeah. You get a high. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Getting high. That it's calling on, since you speak archetypes, calling on the lover and the hedonist, and willing to suffer and have future pain for immediate gain. But anyway, I'm just picking on Michelle there. And yeah, that's where the wedding bouquet came in. Jackie said that they didn't bathe enough, and the flowers covered up the smell. Oh, gross. That's like what?
I know people who have deep, deep trauma around being teased for being dirty, and for being unclean. And let me tell you, their cleaning now is killing them, but they don't know it. But was an interesting thing to realize how that's so connected. The over cleaning, the over sanitization, the smelly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and we saw that in 2020. It's exactly what they ramped up, right? That it would have been one thing if it was just a chemical poison, alcohol, hand sanitizer. No, they're all scented. Stupid things, right? I never touched one of those. And I rebelliously stopped washing my hands so much in 2022 just to prove that didn't have anything to do with that. I went back to washing my hands more, let's say. So yeah, it's the the emotional centers are really tied to olfactory senses, and then your brain's right there, right? The whole emotional center, the limbic system, the memory, as we already talked about. So now I'm aware of, say, when you're I used to get those eye stingers. My eyes would water, get, sinuses, have to blow my nose, get a little cough, stuff coming up this way. I think a lot of that is the brain detoxing, frankly,
Yeah.
because it's the closest route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah, I've dealt with sinus issues, all those things my whole life, and now I'm grateful for it because it was protecting me that whole time.
Right. Yeah. Taking the overload, whatever your liver couldn't handle, and it's a poison on the way in, and it's a poison on the way out. So that's why it's great to work on the level of the liver and not have all the peripheral systems have to pass it that way. I just say
Yeah.
that for not, I know you already know. But yeah, it became ubiquitous. It became invisible to everybody. I have an ongoing thing with my son that his dad just didn't understand unscented laundry products. He couldn't get it, and he would get it a few times after I said, and then he would go back to a scented product, and my son would show up, and I'd be basically allergic to my son. He'd hug me, I'd get it on me, and it was so sad because I don't want to keep my distance from my own flesh and blood in the process. But I've learned more about it now, and the environment that he's in all day, every day, with literally anyone, with friends, colleagues, at work, in work trucks, they're all scented people, right? We gave a ride to one of his friends who I love, who I've known for quite a few years now already. And it was so powerful. In the middle of the winter, I had to get him to have his window wide open just so that I didn't have a breakdown driving or just be so distracted by the smell. Like, what is that? Someone was just on my Facebook saying how in her dance classes, they wear a lot of perfume because they're insecure about, I guess, being seen dancing. And so they wear a lot of fragrance to compensate for that.
As a dancer, I definitely had insecurities about smelling. And so I overcompensated with scent. However, it wasn't allowed. Perfume wasn't allowed. And so I would compensate with body washes and hair serums and all of that. But looking back now, I'm so thankful for the people I had in my life who had a no scent policy. And there was more of those around than I was actually sort of shocking. There was more around in my childhood than I see now. Actually, no, it's getting better. There are more. The smell. Okay, so I often smell like essential oils. Often it's patchouli or the earthy sort of smells, and they'll hug me and they won't stop hugging me, and I get comments all the time, and it's a step down, but it's I'm not going to get that from you. You would probably be like, "Oh, Mara, way too strong." You probably wouldn't like it at all. But
Well, with essential oils, it is better.
yeah,
Because what they add to the chemical fragrances, and they probably do add them to the natural ones too. I imagine there's some way around it. They add phthalates,
mm-hmm.
spelled with a P, and that's what allows it to grab on to your skin and to fabric. When I got home from my trip after being in that hotel room for just one night, we were only sleeping in that bed for 6 hours. And I got home and all of a sudden I was aware of it that night, although I was able to sleep. Miracle. That wouldn't, in the past, that would have never happened. So I actually got those 6 hours of sleep. But when I got home, I suddenly was aware of how offensive I was because I'm in a clean environment again.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, take all the clothes off. And I'm like, oh, that didn't work. I smell my hair. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? So I promptly go for the shower. I wash my hair twice in a row. I get out, still smells like that perfume. Like two washes and I couldn't get it out. That's due to the phthalates. And the phthalates in particular are the hormone disruptors. So again, back to the conspiracy, like why did they need to add that in there? In a way, economically, it would be better to stay with the essential oils because you need to apply them all the time. They naturally evaporate into the air. They disappear. We all know that about our essential oils. You have to apply them constantly to actually smell like that. and they don't cling at all. So yeah, I don't care what ChatGPT says.
I was in a wellness store yesterday opened up in our community last year, and they practice Ayurvedic, and so they have a few oils. And at the till, they had just experimented making a fragrance, a natural fragrance, but it was with an oil base. So she gave me a little drop of this smell of essential oils with a good oil, and I'll tell you, all through the rest of the day, it wasn't all day, it was probably about 4 hours. I'd get a waft of that beautiful smell. And it made me so happy. I loved it. I love scents. I mean, I love the smell of beautiful flowers and
Right,
trees.
right.
It's a funny thing.
Yeah, it's a beauty, right? It's a beauty, and
Mhm.
there's something there. It's meant as an attractor. Say the flowers are creating something, so the pollinators will come, and the fruit itself is pretty amazing. It smells like the flower. That was something when I ate peppers and I grew my own peppers. That a really fresh pepper smells like the flower of the pepper, right? So that
Right.
essence, and even when the plant finally goes to seed, and you eat one of those seeds, there's the essence in there. So it is a continuous thing. Nature has produced this, but we know that everything in nature is not good for inside our bodies. Given where we're at, right? If we were at a different time, in a different generation that hadn't had so much time for the toxicity to accumulate over generations, for the liver's health to be weakened over the generations, we wouldn't have to even have this conversation about natural scents, right? It wouldn't be the big deal that it can be for some people. So,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
my husband is not bothered by scents. He, in fact, has not cut them out of his life. I'm patiently waiting, but he has never dealt with sensitivities to it at all. And so, would that be probably to do with the liver that I inherited from my mom's weakened liver that I got from her? I mean, it's just amazing to me that he isn't bothered. And I have one son who's not bothered, but then my other three are bothered. So that's the state of our liver.
Yeah, I mean, women are more sensitive in the first place. You had 4 babies, right? So that is a major tax on your detox system.
Mhm.
And so, and like, this is what I noticed. My son's dad doesn't notice the scents. My
Mhm.
son also doesn't notice the scents, although I think there's a part psychological there that he doesn't want to notice them because he can't do anything about it.
Mhm.
Everything's covered in it. Everybody's covered in it. And, but yeah, it's the same thing. Not only is he not harmed by it, but he doesn't notice it because the senses are already saturated with it. Right? I don't know how I smell until go away for a couple of hours and I come back to my home, then I smell, "Oh, there's something here. It smells like me." But I'll stop noticing that after a couple of hours. So, yeah, I think we're in a different place with, having been born to women themselves who had many babies and took the hit for that. Your last children are going to be the bigger tax on your body. You can handle one more easily and two less easily. The fourth can typically be the hardest on you. And yeah, it just all leaves you more compromised. We detox much slower than men do as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured that. I knew that. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, my sister just moved into a new house that I got to be very much a part of the decisions right from the bottom up. And they have a lot of wood. They have ceramic tiles. They have lots of brick. And when I have her son over to spend the day with me, he smells. They also have a wood burning fire, but he he smells like it's just the most insanely beautiful smell. It's not neutral because it's quite actually a strong scent, and his hair smells like it. He smells like it, but in their scent free, very natural, very nice home that they did such a beautiful job of building as toxin free as possible. It still has a scent, but it smells nourishing. And I think it just must come from the fireplace, from burning wood. But wow, I wish that for everyone. Everyone deserves to have a home like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got some cedar in this place, and I don't smell it until I've been away, and then I come in. Oh, that's a cedar smell. It's also toxic. Isn't that what they're saying now? Like, you actually don't want cedar saunas because of the toxicity of the cedar that we've been
Oh, I
seeing
haven't heard that one. That's a new to me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cedarwood oil is actually very, very gentle. It's one of the most gentle essential oils, and it's used for sleeping, and you can put it right on your skin, and it doesn't burn, it doesn't hurt. That's
Right.
interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, cedar was one of the few that, say, if I got a hair conditioner and I didn't have access to the one that I wanted unscented, cedar is the one that I will let myself have, and it doesn't
Okay.
offend me, doesn't hurt me. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty, but we'll see how that goes. So just look at the comments a little bit. Yeah, flowers. Hello, NED over on Rumble. Nice to have you there. And yeah, peach trees, crazy. We're so tuned into our sense of smell. This is one thing I was reminded also. I know you know this from having babies. They can smell your milk, right? When they get close enough, then it causes them to root and try to nurse. It actually has like a distinct odor. So we communicate through smells. There's no
Yeah.
even one of the things. This might sound a little gross, but even one of the changes I've noticed with Love Your Liver is that now when I smell my own breath, it smells sweet.
Yeah. Like a baby.
Ah, yes,
Their insides are clean. I've been
right,
around a lot
right.
of babies, and their breath is sweet. It's heavenly. Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I missed what was going on here. Let's see. Isn't that crazy? Paying extra for the non-poison. It's going to be really beautiful outside tomorrow. Yep. Yeah, I actually got outside and had a little suntan on my deck in 0 degrees where there's no wind. I got brave and exposed myself to that sunshine. So I was going to talk a little bit just about what fragrance actually is and break it down chemically. That it can represent dozens to hundreds of compounds in any fragrance, and it often includes synthetic musks. So they're manufacturing musks are from animals, are they not?
That actually just came up in my research this morning, and I hadn't ever come across that before, but I didn't get to the root of what it was. It was just saying it's one of the more. Oh, I had some good info. I was printing, but my printer didn't work, so I can't get into it right now.
No worries.
But it's 300 under the label fragrance or perfume. Those two are different, but very similar. Up to 300 ingredients can be hidden under that label.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And when they say natural scent, that's probably the same as natural flavors, right? That they're not natural at all.
Yeah. There's no regulatory board. They can say whatever. Yeah. They
Right,
could put one natural ingredient in it and call it natural. Yeah.
right, right. There you
Yeah. It
go.
means
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah. So literally hundreds, up to 300 compounds in one. And then phthalates I mentioned as well, used for fixatives. I finally have a word for that. I used to see them as like clawed animals that would hang on. Like, did you ever buy? And people buy things from the store now. They're scented, right? I bought a few new shirts, and then I washed them all and I put my nose to them and I'm like, this damn scent in there. You just
Mhm.
can't get away from it. Aldehydes we talked about, and also volatile organic compounds, VOCs. So they're obviously inhaled, right? This is a direct path to the brain, whether it's through the nose or through the lungs, but also very much permeable with the skin. Anything that goes on your skin is going to take in. It is a porous kind of a thing. And
Uh, is it okay? I heard this, it stuck with me. So if we ingest a poison, we have this beautiful system to detox our liver to get rid of what does not serve us. But when we put it on our skin, it just goes straight into our blood. There's no system to protect us. So that, the skin care, the hair care, the laundry detergent, it's even worse than eating or drinking poisons because it goes straight into the blood.
exactly. And with your hair in particular, have you ever heard anyone say if you get a cut on your head, it bleeds more than anywhere? Why? Because the blood's very close to the surface of your skull. So all of the, the daily hair washes, the daily everything, the hairsprays, the gels, the everything, that it's like straight into the blood, what you just said. It's straight into the blood. And yes, your liver is going to have to deal with that. But in the meantime, it's going to be touching all the organs that it shouldn't touch, right? The heart, the kidneys. I mean, if the liver can't detox it, it's going to move to the kidneys. If the kidneys can't detox it, guess what? It's coming back out the skin.
Yeah.
In the detox pathway. So yeah. And ChatGPT, for example, knew that the commonly reported symptoms around it are respiratory and neurological. That can be headaches, dizziness, um, irritation in your airway, triggering asthma. How many children now have asthma? That we point to a lot of different things, like and including the jabs, and that's partly true. But wouldn't you want to take the sense out, like just by logic, you think parents would want to clean that air, right?
Yeah.
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 Uh,
um,
mhm.
the the fertility side of it is it's mind blowing. The people who have had fertility issues and then continued to do IVF or whatever process and still haven't figured that out. I know a woman who figured it out in her fertility journey, and she is a wealth of knowledge. And I think people don't want to go anywhere near her because she's so wise and young, and they just can't. It's like the information just, they just don't even want to know. They just turn in zombie and reject it. It's really sad.
Yeah, again, empathizing with my son who is around me. He hears this all the time. I'm telling him this information, but because he's kind of powerless, he would have to not hang around his friends, not go into any public places. Um, in order to be completely scent free, he would have to not be in his world or even in his home where he lives with his dad.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
so it sends people into a kind of apathy. They don't care because they can't care,
Right.
or the
Yeah.
change they have to make was so dramatic.
Yeah. I see that.
Also, I want to quote Garrett Smith, who created the Love Your Liver Paradigm program, that he said, "Get a filter for your home or be a filter. One or the other." So yeah, we're like the fish in the water. We're busy filtering this water we call air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the hormonal effects, like you were just kind of pointing towards, people have a lot of fertility issues more and more, whether it's the man or the woman or both that can't get pregnant. It is extremely related to toxicity. And then the phthalates that stabilize the scent and keep it hanging onto clothes and skin is exactly what disrupts the endocrine system. It alters testosterone level. Back to conspiracy. Why would they want to take the, strong testosterone men out of the picture and soften them? How did it even become popular for men to wear a scent? That's not a manly thing to smell like a flower, in my opinion. I don't know. That seems really girly to me. Um, and yeah, effects on reproductive development and thyroid interference. How many people are on some kind of thyroid medication, trying hard to get off thyroid medication, which I luckily just never went down that road. Chances are I had thyroid problems and I just refused to get them diagnosed. And then here's a kicker, is that the phthalates accumulate in fat tissue, right? So they're fat soluble toxins, like most of we know vitamin A and vitamin E and all of those things are exactly that. So you look around, this is something that it's hard not to see in the US, in the travel, just people are grossly overweight. Now these days you go into stores, you see the overweight mannequins are all bigger than life. Every single store had an oversized mannequin of some kind, so people feel normal. And
Yeah.
in a way, they're better off because their systems can store. Like I'm not a storer. It all comes down to my liver, so I'm worse off than those people. But yeah, and then the scents are also estrogenic. So in addition to reducing testosterone, and this might be one and the same, it increases estrogen, back to making men more feminine.
I had a very trippy experience at the grocery store the other day, and I was not expecting this. I was not thinking about this. I happened to be there just after 5 o'clock, and there were men off of work like crazy, grabbing their groceries. It was a Thursday or something, and there was so many man boobs, like very sad. Like I saw it once, and like coming right out of his sweater, you could see it so obviously, and then again, like 6 men who had very obvious breast tissue, large breast tissue, and they weren't very large men. It was very strange. I mean, I understand why, but I had never seen. I have this thing where I see those things. I go out in public and I see the toxic load in somebody's body, and you see the baby who's struggling, and I right often I want to help them, and I feel like I have a very good idea of what might be able to help them, but it's not the most fun gift to have. But the other day it was really sad. And they're all young. They're all in their 20s, I'm guessing.
Crazy. And they're not even necessarily overweight, because we associated man boobs with just having too much weight.
Yeah.
But no, no, it's the hormones. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Very quickly,
Mhm.
I just saw there's a huge documentary coming out. Apple's pushing it, Netflix, all of them. And I don't know for sure if this is true, but from the preview, they've tapped into the spiritual thing. The main character is a monk, a female monk, and it's this glorification of educating women on hormones. And I've decided I'm not participating in that whole world of all the symptoms. I've dealt with symptoms. I've had symptoms. I know it's from toxic load, but I'm not participating in that world, right? It's like this obsession with, it gives people that ticket to be a victim, right? To have perimenopause, to have headaches. And it's, what an attack. It's just so evil. But this documentary, I just was fired up. By the looks of it, they're not telling, they just say they're pumping everybody with estrogen. They want, it's obviously paid for by pharmaceutical company. And I was just angry. I was so like, okay, so get all women to start taking fake estrogen, which may help them. And I'm glad if there's a way to help them. But if we're not educating on why everybody needs to go to get this pharmaceutical estrogen, there's the main point.
Exactly. And
It's
you said it.
gross.
And you said it. I mean, when a woman stops menstruating, they don't have their main detox pathway, which was menstruation. And so what happens is the toxicity backs up and it starts to want to release, and your body isn't busy in a reproductive mode anymore. So then you can start to release those toxins, but people feel like crap. Isn't it interesting? Because a lot of those symptoms of menopause are similar to the symptoms of getting poisoned by the uh, the fragrances and
Yeah.
everything else. So it's just poison, right? Like it's
Mm.
nothing really new going on here at any level. And flowers are the plant's gonads, indeed. Yeah, chronic fatigue is a big thing. Exactly. Lisa said it became very popular because version compounds cause women to have a biological process response, the very expensive real ones. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Certain compounds, not version compounds. Got it. Yeah. Right. Back to status that if you have the money, then you can evoke these biological responses that you think you want. But why are we always hacking the system? Because you don't feel good, right? Because we're deficient in nutrients and we're toxic to the nines. So yeah, the effects of the phthalates in particular, they mimic or interfere with hormone signaling, and there's it's not an acute poisoning, which is the problem. If it was an acute poisoning, it would be just so obvious that, oh, I walked in that room, I smelled that thing, then I'm on the floor barfing or whatever happens to you. But it's the chronic low level modulation. It's always the drip system in our world. Say, if chemtrails would kill you in 2 days, then everybody would be up in arms of that. But we've been chemtrailed for years in a row, ongoing, and it's just this, little insult, little insult, little insult, little insult, until, like again, Garrett says that my car worked perfectly until it didn't, and then you cross that threshold and can't cope anymore. So I was going to talk a little bit about the aldehydes. My guess is that they're overloading the liver, but it's not on the biochemistry side. It's not exactly like that. That's the net result of it. The What we use to detox aldehydes is aldehyde dehydrogenase, an enzyme, and it converts it into less reactive acids. And so aldehydes are reactive modules that can contribute to oxidative stress and increase our demand for glutathione. So it increases our demand for antioxidants, is what glutathione actually is. That's why people are so hooked on antioxidants, because they take them, they feel better. Your body makes antioxidants, that's good, but it makes them in a regulated way, not just taking them because you feel bad, but because it's managing too much oxidation from the detox. Got to create more antioxidants, and so yeah, that your body can handle a healthy body can handle aldehydes. You can detox them, but the problem is that it's cumulative, and it stores what you can't detox, and then the chronic exposure from multiple sources. You got air fresheners and detergents and body products and you name it. It's coming at us.
I allowed my daughter to play with my old, not clean makeup. And she was doing makeup with her friend for 2 days. And she came down with a fever and was sick, sick, sick. I mean, her body activated and was like, nope, this isn't okay. And it was fascinating to witness firsthand. This was just about a month ago. How quickly her body turned up its heat and wanted to eject all of this poison. So that makeup's gone. And
Right.
yeah, seeing it happen right in front of my face was,
Yeah.
I needed that reminder.
It's a good point that even when you're totally aware and you're on the subject, and then there's things that slip by,
Yeah.
even our own discriminations. So yeah, it's crazy. And I was going to say also, just with the push and the campaigns right now about women's hormones, it really is, they're pushing HRT, right? They want you on their chemical hormones to manage the condition that is really just toxicity. So if I'd known what I know now, I wouldn't have spent 3 years fighting for my life with cancer at all. I wouldn't have, when I had that digestive breakdown 3 years ago, it wouldn't have taken me 3 months to begin recovering. I could have done that in a few days, knowing what I know now, right? Just like insanity. So huge shout out.
As triggered and difficult as it was to face when I first started following you along with Love Your Liver, ultimately, it's actually so simple. The new paradigm, what I would like in my heart, it feels like the truth, the path that you're on with health. It's actually so simple. It's so beautiful. It's so easy. It's so easy to just let somebody know what's going on with their body. I used to hesitate to speak about it because I wasn't really sure, but now I know. Now I can just lay it out. Toxins in, toxins out. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it greatly simplifies your health from so many different angles because you're not really, say when I got home, I started to swell up, and then the last airplane I started to swell up with my glands, which is interesting because that doesn't happen very much for me anymore, even though I had a lymphoma. And so I used a few things. What was my point going to be? You're just talking about, what were you just talking about? Sorry, I lost it. What was I gonna
Me
say?
too. Sorry.
Okay. All right. That's no problem. Anyone know what we were talking about? Sometimes I ask the chat and they tell me. But yeah, so it's the bioaccumulation over time that's always the problem with any kind of toxin, including fragrance. The compounds in synthetic fragrances are found in, of course, fat tissue we talked about, breast milk, blood samples, right? So it makes its way entirely through the system, like you were talking about.
Okay. I was talking about the simplicity of it, how
Oh,
simple
the
it is.
simplicity,
Toxins
thank
in,
you.
toxins out.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The simplicity is an amazing um thing that, oh yeah, I was talking about the glands. Okay, we're back to zero again. And then oh, I have a gland problem. No,
no.
you have the toxicity problem. And there's a lot of different approaches with moving your lymph and getting regular exercise again, which I usually do every single day, but on a vacation, things just didn't really work out that way. And so, yeah, the simplicity of cooking. I can't even imagine how much easier it is to cook food for your family now. That
Yeah.
when I used to have, I don't know, 40 or 50 ingredients on one plate. I was a nut for that. I needed the variety, so many different things, and the condiments and the spices and herbs and different foods together and stuff like that. Well, now I end up with 2 or 3 ingredients at the most on my plate. And so that's a lot of time saving.
Mhm.
That's a lot of not dishwashing.
It's been very helpful. I was very burnt out in the cooking department. It's not my specialty. Although I know it is sacred and it is important to pour love into it when you're doing it. But yeah, not worrying about chopping onions and garlic and just cooking our hamburger as it is. It has changed my life. It is a lot easier.
Isn't that ironic how people are so nuts about their fragrances and then they go and use garlic and onions that stink to high heaven, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just kind of a contradiction
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I think that, I mean, I'm hopeful. I see the positive in things. And we are seeing more of the studies, more of the information. There's a huge boom in my area with a network marketing company that sells products and food and all of it. And it's sad because they're not they're not clean. They're better than at the grocery store, but even the fragrances, even the oil, even the cleaners have fragrance in it. So it's sad, but also I'm happy because the awareness is spreading. It's like this whole nother level. And I know that they'll get taken on that journey, but the studies of the breast of showing up in breast milk and how it's affecting us in all the sensitivities, I'm grateful to see more conversations being had.
That's great. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Yeah, it's tricky because people will think they are doing the healthy thing. They think they're non-scented when it's actually not true.
Yeah.
And even me preparing for this trip, I didn't have a conditioner in the house that was I only had that cedar one, and I look at it and go like, oh my goodness, I'm not even non-scented over here, and I have this huge, distaste for these scents. But we all end up using them one way or another. So yeah, this is partly a call to people to really take inventory and see, is it worth it, what you're needing to detox in your own body as a result, or your family, your children, even your partner who doesn't understand. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Jackie said so many thyroid hormones too. Instead of finding they are toxic. Yeah, they're really hard to get off of. I just was hearing some woman yesterday talk about that. Ronnie said her health greatly declined after menopause. Then your naturopath put you on HRT. You dumped that all 2 years ago. Good for you. Amazing. That's great. And I was going to talk a little bit about the nervous system and limbic effects, that the olfactory system directly connects to the amygdala, which is your emotional center, right? Where emotions are generated, and how we end up so romantic about scents and romantic about the flowers and all of that kind of thing. I was actually looking up what was the origin of the stop and smell the roses thing. Like, was that some kind of a psyop? ChatGPT's like, no, 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 you're overthinking it, Beth. And the hippocampus, that which is directly related to the memory. So scents can trigger emotional states quickly. And that's what we found with the person that we went to stay with. They immediately got not just having some symptoms, they got emotionally triggered by it. It created an intensity. It created them sort of inappropriately telling us to go take a shower, and then thinking that there was some like need to convince us to shower. Well, we do shower. We do that, and we will do that. But having somebody telling you to do that is kind of like weird, I have to say. And it was very, very emotional for them, incredibly emotional, this experience, right? And there's all kinds of associations that get made. I even realized it's a form of trauma-based mind control to call it out, because you're, on the one hand, you're getting pleasure from the scent, and at the very same time you're being harmed in your body. You're marrying those two experiences together,
Yeah.
hence the addiction, hence the attachment to it, the emotional attachment to it, that people think that somehow they can't live without that.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it really
Very
is.
true.
Yeah.
My daughter, last night we made a homemade skin lotion for her sensitive skin,
Nice.
with shea butter and jojoba, and we decided to put a drop of, she chose rose oil, and she was smelling helichrysum, which stops bleeding. And so immediately she opened the bottle and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, I'm at the lake. This is what Auntie's camper smells like. And she had this absolute beauty. She eyes were closed and she's sniffing the oil, and she's at the lake in her auntie's camper, and she's got all these beautiful memories flooding in. It's powerful, very powerful.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
example. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it's mood altering. We talked about the irritation, but again, is there some kind of pairing going up where this might be the hedonist archetype, where there's the pleasure that overrides the pain, and we only want to pay attention to the pleasure and not to the pain, so you suppress the pain, it becomes unconscious, something like that. But and one of the things that stops the industry from doing anything about it is because it's like getting catching a cold or catching a boogeyman virus. Well, not everybody does. Some people do, some people don't. Maybe it goes through your family, and 3 out of 5 people get sick and 2 don't. And so it ends up being, now this isn't to the credit of germ theory or anything, that didn't stop them from making their claims. But in this case, some people literally, they don't notice it. They have no effects. They don't feel it. And then there's people that are, might have moderate symptoms like headaches or irritation. And then there's those that are formally diagnosed with MCS, multiple chemical sensitivity, and they have strong systemic reactions. They couldn't sleep through the night in the bed, never mind in the room. So I heard so many stories of people needing to go and like they end up sleeping in the car. Actually, one of my good friends said that she's doing that right now to avoid some bad environments where she is. And it's it makes it kind of invisible socially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the talk, it could just go on forever. Synthetic sheets, off topic, but yet it's something that I respond very quickly. I am hot and sweaty and bothered by polyester. And I've played with the mind part of it, just like mind over matter, to work on it. But my body says no. It made me sick. I was dealing with issues my whole life. I had no idea, but it's important to speak up. Two things. So this 5-star hotel in Mexico that my son got to go to had synthetic sheets, microfiber.
They all do now. There's no cotton sheets anywhere.
I got the last hotel I stayed at, I asked for cotton and they found me 2 duvet covers. So I was able to get 2 duvet covers to sleep in between. And so I actually pack a sheet or 2 or 3. So the reason I think it's so important that if you feel called to share, we joined a gym club, my daughter, and she was having major, just totally not into it, crying after, didn't want to go. She had a headache. It was very things were not good. And they encourage us to, keep going, push through. Gymnastics are hard. And she's naturally really talented. She was in a hard class, but I saw the plug-in Glad fragrance in the plugins. And I had an issue with it, and I might have thrown a couple of them out. But I was like, I have to talk to them. I know I have to talk to them. They're poison. They've got 300 students coming in. This is a gym. This is a health facility, and it's very toxic. So anyway, I didn't say anything. I did what I had judged others for doing, was instead of talking to the owner, I was complaining about it to my sisters and to a friend, and then another friend. Oh yeah, I get migraines when I'm there. And so I was planning on saying something. It was going to happen, and I hadn't. And I walked in the gym late one day, and I was no filter. And one of the owner's daughter, one of the owners, pregnant, was spraying Febreze all throughout the walkway. There's 30 kids right here. There's 100 kids in the gym at the moment. And I just very nicely, but very powerfully let her know. I'm like, what are you doing? You're like, and I let her rip. And she had no idea. She had no idea that she was poisoning herself, poisoning her baby, and poisoning their 500 students, or however many they have registered. And so they got rid of it all. And they still they now use diffusers because of how stinky it is. It's a gym, and there's lots of gross smells, and there's food and all these things. But they have only ever had 2 people complain. I've had 10 people complain to it about that location. I've had people, 10 people talk about it that knew and had issues, but only 2 people have ever said something to the owners of the gym. And so they took action and they changed it. And
amazing.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. It's important that we compassionately and calmly help people, let people in. Thank you for doing that so well, Beth.
Oh, yeah. I was a little mad at myself at leaving the hotel at 5:30 a.m. We had to be out of there, and they said, "How was everything?" as I checked out, and I went, "Well, as a matter of fact, the scented sheets are like really bad and toxic, and why do you need that?" And I said, "Nobody's going to complain if there's no smell." No one will complain about that. But and I said, do you hear this often from anyone? Nope. Nobody says anything. They all think it's fine. They're just not noticing it. One of the things, you probably know this already, but a great way to deodorize anything is ozone in a natural way, and it
Okay.
has no residue. Yeah, I bought a little when we expected everyone to be dying in the streets and having dead, rotting bodies everywhere. I went and got myself a an ozone machine. Just it's
Okay.
not that expensive on Amazon, and then charcoal. You were the one that actually taught me to get the activated charcoal bags
Yeah,
to
that's
absorb
amazing.
scents. Is
Yeah.
it? Yeah, it's working for you. I was trying to detox. I have a tiny home. I was trying to detox it from the new materials. It's not fragrance, but it's fragrance anyway. Like there's smells in there. It doesn't really work, sadly. And I've bombed that place with ozone. I think it just goes so deep into all of the building materials.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah, yeah, that was
We've
crazy.
got a long ways to go.
We do.
Mother's like, please, every action counts. Just keep
Yeah.
working on it. Keep talking about it.
Exactly. So this is a kind of petition to you guys to go into your life, and it helps people. Hello, Lunarverse. Nice to have you here. I'm sorry to hear you have MCS. That really sucks, and you can't go into a lot of places because fragrance is now in every public venue and people's home. I know. It's madness actually.
I
It's another way. Like if they want us to be separate from people, it's another way
Yeah.
to accomplish that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't want to read too much consciousness in it because people like you've been saying, Mara, they're not conscious. They're not
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah. I
And
have to throw a wrench in. I
Mhm.
did just read a book. I just read a passage in the book I'm reading right now. It's called The Unification of God and Money. And she talked about when we master our energy, she stated that our belief and in our health and in our alignment, our aura could protect us from those environmental toxins. And I just read this a couple weeks ago, and I'm open to it. And I've had other people say it to me before. What are your thoughts, Beth?
Can you repeat on what in particular?
Um, Basically anything in any environment. Just so if we're going to go out into the world, if we were really truly masters of our energy, and we could believe and trust that our biofield could, protect us from the assault of. She didn't say specifically fragrances. She was talking about. Actually, I don't even know what she was talking about. I didn't refer to fragrance, but in my head, I'm processing the reality that like anything's possible, and I do believe that that would be something that we could do. What do you think? Do you think that
Thank
we
you for
could?
Thank you for clarifying. So I have, maybe you've heard me say before, I have a kind of bias against the belief system of navigating in the world. It I believe it. I believe it can be perfected. It's the child archetype. It's one of the superpowers belief. But I think that the vast majority of people are not able to perfect it at all by any means. And so I resort to quoting one of my teachers who is not reputable, but this was to me very smart. And he said, when it rains, get wet. Don't try to pretend you're not getting wet when you are wet. Just get wet, right?
Mm.
And then I was reminded of Carlos Castaneda. How does he avoid getting shot with a shotgun? He doesn't show up. So he doesn't believe his way, like, oh, that bullet can't harm me. He just simply isn't there. He doesn't put his body in that harm's way.
Yeah.
So rather than investing a lot of energy into a belief system that's going to be flawed, you're going to have doubts. You're going to have to, repeat and indoctrinate, brainwash yourself into a belief system. But I still like, there are things that we can do. Say, with my lack of knowledge of how what health actually meant, and what toxicity was, and what cancer was, if I can say that word, probably not too many times without getting a strike here, then I was able to survive my experience using mental, emotional, and spiritual tools to, and they are deeper. Our inner experiences are an authority of kinds, but it didn't get me off the hook from having to release that toxicity. And it was just a matter of time and years before the accumulation again went off the charts and threatened my life. So, biochemistry is real. You can't believe that away.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I always appreciate hearing your thoughts. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. It's tempting. And you can, if it's your jam, you can work on those things full time. But I don't know. I think there's better. Yeah, that's what Jackie K was saying. Mind over matter. Thank you. Quietly Content Bear said you could increase the strength of your biofield. Yeah, so that's something. There's something also in the whole paradigm of protection that isn't quite right. Who was I recently speaking to about this? That when you're calling on protection, it's in the paradigm also that you're in danger. So that's the first one, and it's probably it can be true. And if it's driven by fear programming, then are you just actually strengthening the programming in the process? I don't know.
What I know is when I say to my kids, you're safe, you're protected, and you are loved, there was a shift for me when I used to say it. I didn't know, I wasn't grounded. It wasn't a knowing. Now it's like, I know you are. I know I am. And so I don't ever call in protection. I just know that I am.
Right. That's
like on a molecular,
that is
just
totally different.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then you're not in a belief system anymore. You're in a knowing system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's beautiful. Emil said radionics and dowsing might be an interesting area to explore as well. I'm not familiar very much with that. Isn't dowsing about finding water? And radionics, I'm not sure. JJ Hempcree wants to take a walk by the river. That's a good idea. Lunarverse said they make fragrance so it sticks to the air and surfaces so it lingers and it's hard to remove. Yeah, we talked about it's the phthalates, PHTHALATES. That is exactly what sticks. They don't otherwise. Natural fragrance doesn't stick. It doesn't last, and that's why they need it. So Annie D said, I noticed beauty influencers who make a living slathering multiple chemicals all over their face seem to get chronically ill, migraines, colds, and flus. Yeah, you've probably heard me say it before, but I won't take health advice from a young person ever again because they can get away with everything. My son is not sickened by the fragrances, and I pray he never is, but it's because he's got a 19-year-old liver, had a fairly good start, no jabs, no medications. Even he's had his problems too because he was born to someone who was compromised. And so that's not going to go well in the long run with those influencers. Universe said she tries to educate people that we all share the air. Breathing is not optional. Exactly. We all want to clean, unpolluted air to breathe. I hold my breath so many times in public. It's insane. Like I know for like strong car exhaust, I hold my breath. For the dryer sheet coming out of the house while I'm walking, I hold my breath. You run water and the chlorine starts to waft into the air. I hold my breath. Like we were talking about walking in a shopping mall or anything, I hold my breath in the laundry detergent aisle. And after a while, you're like, am I breathing? Am I getting enough oxygen here? So yeah, kind of crazy. Elisa said it's good to have a positive mind over matter attitude, but the example given is more like the Burqa method. Cover your eyes and hope the toxins don't get you. Well said, Elisa. Well said. Let's not live in a make-believe world. Right?
Yeah. I can see where the disassociation, the spiritual getting out of the body. I can see where that hijacking comes in. Mm-hmm.
You got it. Exactly. It's a bypass. You live in a different kind of energy. You're not in your flesh and your bones. Why? Because it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? That toxicity is not a nice thing. I actually coming back into the country, and that was the first thing I started to do was like reassemble in my body. I had to somewhat vacate in order to be, comfortable or not off the charts neurotic in my own trip. Chrissy Snow, nice to see you. You make your own flaxseed gel for your hair. That sounds nice. And you can smell the dryer sheets on people as they walk by. I know, crazy. Yeah, phthalates. It's spelt with a PHTH. Is that right? Here, let me.
Yeah, PHTHALATES.
There you go. And I say, no poison formed to harm shall hurt me. Right. Yeah, it only goes so far. So, and your liver is silent, right? And liver disease is silent. It's picking up. So we turn to our beliefs that no poison is formed to harm or shall hurt me. So you're stuck in a belief system while your liver is working out. That doesn't match, right? Just because we don't feel the liver working. If we had pain receptors in the liver, we'd all be doubled over all day long. It takes the hit until it doesn't. And that's what I've noticed about people in their last dying days is that it's the liver that goes last. It's the last vestige of life in your body. It's like a serious warrior among us. Yeah, washing detergents are disgusting, actually. Yeah. Well, good for you, Chrissy, but check on that. How old are you, by the way? So anyway, I'm not wanting to be mean. I just, it's see how easy it is to go into denial. Denial is the child archetype. That's also the belief and denial. They go hand in hand. I believed I was healthy, but then all of a sudden I'm having a breakdown. Can't be that healthy. Elisa said one thing about the perfume industry was sort of touched on is they don't test it with the kinds of alchemical combinations going on, 10 different products in a day plus sunshine. Yes, all the combinations, they matter. I remember they were telling, it was in a beauty context, but they said never mix hair products together because the chemical reactions you might not want, that it's going to react and cause something that maybe is not
Burn your hair right off.
Burn your hair off, turn it green, whatever it is. Exactly. So, well, I wonder if we've done justice to this message, and I hope it gets out far and wide, Mara. It's been wonderful to have you here, very unexpected. Is there, would you want people to be able to contact you on this subject since you've given it a lot of time and attention? Is there any way?
Yeah, I would, if somebody feels called to find me, I love having meaningful conversations about things that I find that this is very important. The word purify is just shining there for me. And I love to talk about all things, mental, physical, spiritual purification.
Wonderful. And Mara is versed in journey code coaching and the deprogramming tools. So no doubt she can help you combine up those two superpowers. And how should people best reach you?
Well, at this point, you could find me at mara.connection on Instagram or Mara Hegel on Facebook. My last name is just Hoegl.
I did it wrong. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'd just like to share one thing really quick about, purification, fragrance, all of it. My grandma always hung her clothes out on the line. And so, of course, in the summer months when I do the same, that smell of the sunshine, that clean, I cleaned out her basement. These clothes had to been in there for a good 30, 40, 50 years. I could smell the sunshine on the clothes that she had hung on the line, on the cotton clothes. I could smell the sunshine. It was kind of miraculous.
Yeah,
And
fresh air and sunshine do have a beautiful smell. What's up with that, eh? Yeah, I know it's a thing. How do you spell your last name? I'll put it up one more time. Should know.
Hoegl. Looks like
No,
Hogel.
no, I had an extra E in there. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Hegel.
Hegel, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
it's
Okay.
German. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. And then if you'd like to contact her and get some coaching on this subject, for example, you can find her at Instagram, mara.connection. That backslash was there by accident. What was the second way?
Well, I'll just give you my email.
Sure.
It's just marahegel@gmail.com.
Okay. Okay. Did I get that right?
Gmail.
Ah, shit.
Tripped me up there. I do have a Hotmail, but it's totally different.
Okay. So Mara Hegel at
Gmail.
gmail.com. Yeah. I do hesitate to put, although this is just on screen, because once you put an email into any electronic format, it can get eaten by bots, and then you
Okay.
can get a lot more spam than you expected.
Okay.
But I
Good
think
to know.
yeah, I think this is just going to be on screen, so it won't do that. HOEGL at gmail.com. Okay, perfect. There it is. All right.
you.
Yeah, you are very welcome. And Universe said, love the smell of clothes after they've been dried on the line for in the fresh air. See, I thought I thought this was a good topic for Beth of Fresh Air. Can we vote for some fresh air around here? Yeah. Have a good go, you guys. I don't often just like tell people, but have a good go through your world and see where the scents might be hiding and what kind of stress you could take off your body and your children's little bodies as well. It's amazing. The only reason they survive it is because they have a fresh liver, although that's debatable too, depending on who they were born to.
Yeah.
But yeah, great reminder. And thank you. You were both such a breath of fresh air, a breath of fresh hair. Yes. There you go.
Beth, a couple of years ago, I decided to believe that wind was absolutely purifying. Where else? They can't control the wind, can they? And so it's very windy here right now, and
Okay.
it is fresh and purifying. It feels right for me every time. And I tell people that when they complain about the wind. But I can't see it, but I can feel it. It's blowing away all that gunk that does not serve us.
Right. Just to someone else. That's the only problem.
It's true.
But yeah, the elements, are they all purifying? You got the water, that's definitely purifying. You got the air, definitely purifying. Fire, absolutely. If you can't do anything, set it on fire. There's no other way. And what other elements do we get out of earth, air, water, fire? Earth. Is that a purifying element? It kind of is, because we're all filters.
Yeah. Have you seen those beetles that eat heavy metals?
No.
There's a beetle that comes around and cleans up like microfibers and heavy metals in the soil. I think they've just developed. They just came to be in more recent years when they were needed. Yeah, God's creation is amazing.
It is. Yeah, that's what parasites do, eat heavy metals too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you don't need to kill those guys, just stop feeding them. All right, my dears, congratulations, Lunarverse. You're fragrance-free and glad for it. You are very welcome, quietly contented bear. We shall see you soon. All right, everyone, have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much. If you're not connected with me yet, you can always visit bethmartins.com and do a 10-minute quiz to find out where you are on the path of purpose, what your journey archetype is. It's a great way to meet. You get 10 videos describing something. I often get messages from people that are like, wow, how did you know? And it's just because the questions are geared for each of the archetypes. I have a a new course out that we're just getting towards the end of it now. It's called Creator Code, and it's been fantastic. A really amazing project for me on the heels of last summer. That was a total shit show in many ways. And so it's been fun to watch people go through this. It's creating for the purposes not of manifesting and having everything that you want, but of being able to create from freedom rather than fear programming. I also have a book that you can get at my website called Journey, a Map of Archetypes to Find Lost Purpose in a Sea of Meaninglessness, in case you haven't come across that yet. I also get very good reviews on that. And you can join the House of Free Will, apply to be a member. I ask for applications so that I can tell we are more related than not related, and then save ourselves some trouble. It's not flawless, meaning sometimes people still end up not liking me for one reason or another, or not liking. One of the themes in the House of Free Will is to really try to get down to what's real and true. In the alternative law world, lots of discoveries around that. We've got an excellent guy in there who's doing roundtables in law and telling us why the birth certificate is not a contract, and all kinds of things, not a trust, and there's no money there if you access it, and all of that kind of thing. We're talking we've got our own dedicated Love Your Liver group where people are studying together, sharing, whether it's recipes or troubleshooting on symptoms or all of that kind of thing, how to use the Love Your Liver course. I do recommend the Love Your Liver course, absolutely, by Garrett Smith. You can find him at nutritiondetective.com. And I think that is all for now. So lots of love. Thank you again. I'll set us up to sing us out. Is that true? I forgot that part already, but I don't know. That'll take me a while. Should I do it? You guys want to hear the song? Where would it be?
I love the song.
You love the song? Okay, well, let's do the song. All right, we'll do the song. The video is crappy, but I'll have to replace that one. It kind of sucks. And let's see, outro. Okay, getting it set up now.
I'd love to come back and talk to you about Journey Code and your work.
Oh, do you want to say anything about that? As a matter of fact, thank you for the reminder, because I've got a few minutes if you do, and I am going to be doing a private early bird for the end of April for anyone that wants to join the next round, which starts in September. So yeah, what would you like to say about Journey Code?
8 years I had been in self-healing and the self-help world, and I had some beautiful breakthroughs, and the whole time was beautiful, but 8 minutes, not 8 minutes maybe, but one, finding you and putting to work the deprogramming was like warp speed. I don't regret those 8 years, but what we did in one class took me further than 8 years of seeking answers and healing. So yeah, really, really recommend Journey. Yeah, your work, Beth. It's radically changed my life for the better. Brought so much anger and irritation, which alchemized into feeling much closer to freedom. So yeah, thank you.
Sorry, you can't hear me. Yeah, that's incredible. You did amazing work. I have the great privilege of watching people transform before my very eyes. You were brave in that work. You're brave today to come on. This is a kind of this is the first time I think you've come live on a podcast. So congratulations, and that's what that work can do. It's again not about getting everything that you want. It's not like that. We're going for actual freedom here, and what you need to go through for freedom, it's unpredictable. We don't know, and that's why people are actually more scared of freedom than they are scared of the suffering that they're having. So congratulations. I definitely recommend Mara as a coach, and for the sake of learning about sense and how to protect yourself from it. And you're a great advocate. So thank you for saying everything about Journey Code. And for those that are not, they want to learn the tools of deprogramming more for themselves, then I would recommend the next round of Creator Code. Journey Code is to actually be able to help people to deprogram. Along the way, you help yourself to deprogram. You can't help anybody else with any credibility or like integrity in yourself. If you're not doing it, then you can't really help other people do it. It's not a knowledge subject. It's not like I'll just learn the facts and then I've got it. Not like that. This is a practice. It's something that you are going to do for the rest of your life. I'm never going to stop working on freedom. So
yeah, it's beautiful. It's fun. It's fun.
It's a weird kind of fun. It's
fun. Weird.
Yeah. It's fun for people who are at least encouraged, because you're calling in some hard experiences. You're facing pain. Like I always shake my head when I get so excited to offer these courses, and I think it's fantastic, and I'm just loving it so much. And then I realize how much pain I'm bringing to my own awareness, because it's not just the students that are going through the course, right? I am putting myself through it every single time. I have to put it to the test. It was interesting with Creator Code. I was doing a module on, what the composite programs are, the death program being one of them. Well, I'm writing about this extensively. My life is flashing before my eyes as I'm doing it, like I'm dying, right? And I'm like, oh my goodness, what do I keep signing up for here? And they're special, rare souls that are willing to come into this work and have breakthroughs. I consider you all to be heroes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I love you very much, Mara, and I'd be happy to have you on again. I would definitely welcome that, especially on this Beth of Fresh Air, which is the most fun I get to have every day. Or every week, I should say. Well, I will be back again. So this was Descent. We'll see if there's any. Oh, one last thing that I didn't do. There's a whole bunch of similes in this word. So descent is also descent, right? Here we are descenting against the scent. And and then it's built in with the senses. Desensing is what scents actually do to us. They immobilize the senses. They cause the senses to be overloaded. As soon as, like, if you just keep shining bright light in your eye, you can't see. That's what happens to us. We can, for all of the stimulation for the olfactory senses, you can't smell anything. And then there's also the word decent.
Right? Oh, I didn't see that one. What I actually saw when I saw your post yesterday was descending, like the opposite of ascending, the ascension world and the distraction and the disassociation. I saw descending into the body and facing the hard stuff to become lighter. But it's like, it was like coming into the body was what I saw.
Nice. And so you put a cap on it there. That was the fourth one I hadn't remembered right now. It's descending. Exactly. Yeah. And what goes up comes down. That's why people who get attached to high emotions, then it literally produces as above, so below. You're going to have to, if you're attached to your high emotions, you're going to have to contend with the low emotions. There's no way around it. And so that's a whole other subject. If anyone is interested in exploring if a 7-month coaching training in Journey Code would be right for you, before you got a month and 10 days to decide, there is a special early bird offer. I'm not going to be publishing it or posting it. You have to have a private conversation with me so I can make sure it's actually right for you. It's an intensive training. You need to have done some work on yourself in order to be able to make use of it. So there you go. Thank you for that reminder, Mara. Lots of love, everybody. I am going to sing us out as usual, play us out, I guess, with this piece. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye for now.
Oh, my true guide, Lord and supporter of all, forever free from identity. Be well, I'm dwelling in you. dwelling in you. Be you well, I am dwelling in you. Ipadrashkanu manta Shivarta Gupta Maheshwara Paramatme Dijapi Yokto